My stepdaughter said I was just the second wife at the family dinner, so I did something she didn't expect. I was serving dessert at our annual family Thanksgiving dinner when my stepdaughter Emily stood up with her wine glass. 20 people at the table, all eyes on her. "I want to make a toast," she said, smiling. "To my dad, who's always been there for me. To my mom's memory, who will always be the love of his life. And to Karen," she gestured at me with her glass, "who's been, well, the second wife. Thanks for cooking tonight." The room went silent, everyone staring. Some looked uncomfortable, others looked away. My husband Richard sat frozen. "Just the second wife," she'd said it in front of everyone. Reduced me to a placeholder. An afterthought. Nothing. I put down the pie I was holding, looked at Richard, waited for him to say something. Anything. He didn't. So I did something Emily didn't expect, something that changed everything. My name is Karen Sullivan. I'm 51 years old. I've been married to Richard for 12 years. I've been Emily's stepmother since she was 16. And at Thanksgiving dinner in front of 20 family members, she publicly dismissed me as just the second wife. So I walked out, left the dinner, left the house, left Richard to explain to everyone why his wife was gone. But that's not all I did. What I did next, what I've been doing for the past 6 months, that's what she really didn't expect. This is a story of what happens when you're publicly humiliated by someone you've tried to love. When your partner fails to defend you. When you finally decide you're worth more than being just the second wife. Let me start at the beginning, so you understand how we got here. I met Richard 13 years ago. I was 38, divorced for 3 years, living independently, running my own business. Self-sufficient. Happy. Richard was 47, widowed for 2 years. His wife Catherine had died of cancer when their daughter Emily was 14. He was still grieving, still trying to figure out single parenthood, still lost. We met through mutual friends, started dating slowly. He was careful about introducing me to Emily, wanted to make sure it was serious first. When I finally met Emily at 16, she was polite but guarded. Understandably. She'd lost her mother 2 years earlier, wasn't ready for dad to date. "I'm not trying to replace your mom," I told her that first meeting. "I know she was special. I just care about your dad." Emily nodded. Didn't say much. Made it clear she was watching me, judging whether I was good enough for her father. Richard and I dated for 2 years before getting engaged. Emily was 18 by then, about to go to college. She seemed to accept the relationship, if not embrace it. At our wedding, Emily gave a speech. "My dad deserves to be happy," she said. "My mom would want that." Karen seems nice. Such a lukewarm word. But I took it. At least she wasn't hostile. After the wedding, Emily went to college. Visited occasionally. Was polite when she did. Never warm, but never openly rude either. Just distant. I tried to connect. Sent care packages. Remembered her birthday. Asked about her life. Got minimal responses. "She's busy with school," Richard said. "Don't take it personally." But it felt personal. Like she was keeping me at arm's length deliberately. Making sure I knew my place. Emily graduated college. Got engaged to her boyfriend Jake at 24. Started planning a wedding. Richard was thrilled. My little girl's getting married. Emily consulted Richard about everything. The venue. The date. The budget. But when it came to actual planning, flowers, dress, details, she consulted Catherine's mother. Her grandmother. "Don't you want any help?" I asked once. "I'd be happy to go dress shopping," or "Grandma's coming with me," Emily said. "She knows what mom would have wanted." What mom would have wanted. Always a reference point. Always a standard I could never meet. At Emily's wedding, I sat in the third row. Not the first row with family. The third row. Behind Catherine's parents and siblings. During her speech, Emily thanked everyone who helped make this day special. She thanked her grandmother, her bridesmaids. Her dad. She didn't mention me. Not once. Richard noticed. "Sweetheart, Karen helped pay for this wedding. Maybe you could." I thanked everyone, Dad. But she hadn't. I'd contributed thousands of dollars, half the wedding cost, and wasn't acknowledged. I was invisible. After the wedding, Emily and Jake moved to the city. We saw them occasionally. Always brief visits. Always cordial but cool. Then Emily got pregnant. Richard was overjoyed. "I'm going to be a grandfather." During the pregnancy, Emily called Richard constantly. Asked for advice. Shared updates. Sometimes I'd answer the phone and she'd say, "Oh, is Dad there?" Not "Hi Karen, how are you?" Just "Is Dad there?" When the baby came, a girl named Catherine, after Emily's mother, Richard was at the hospital immediately. I went to. Emily looked at me like I was intruding. "You didn't have to come," she said. "I wanted to meet my step-granddaughter. She's Dad's granddaughter." The distinction was clear. This baby was Richard's family, not mine. Over the next few years, as Catherine grew, Emily's attitude toward me crystallized. I wasn't hostile. I wasn't an enemy. I was just irrelevant. Just a second wife. She'd never said it out loud until Thanksgiving. But she'd been treating me that way for 12 years. And Richard had let it happen. That Thanksgiving, we were hosting 20 people. Emily, Jake, little Catherine, Richard's siblings and their families, Catherine's parents, Richard's late wife's parents, who'd always been polite but distant with me. I cooked for days. Turkey, sides, desserts. Made sure everything was perfect. During dinner, conversation flowed. People complimented the food. Emily smiled. Karen's a good cook. That's something. That's something. Like cooking was my only value. After dinner, I brought out dessert. That's when Emily stood with her wine glass. I want to make a toast to my dad, to my mom's memory, and to Karen, who's been, well, the second wife. The words hung in the air. Second wife. Not stepmother. Not family. Second wife. A replacement. A lesser version. I looked at Richard. Waited for him to correct her. To say something. To defend me. He looked uncomfortable, but he didn't speak. I put down the pie. Excuse me. I walked to the bedroom. Grabbed my purse, my coat, my keys. Richard followed. Karen, where are you going? Out. It's Thanksgiving. We have guests. You have guests. I'm apparently just the second wife who cooked the food. You can handle it from here. Karen, Emily didn't mean. Yes, she did. She meant exactly what she said. And you sat there and let her say it. She was making a toast. She was putting me in my place. In front of everyone. And you didn't defend me. What was I supposed to say? Anything. Emily, that's disrespectful. Karen is my wife and deserves respect. Literally anything. But you said nothing. I didn't want to make a scene. She made the scene. I'm just leaving it. I walked out. Got in my car. Drove away. Left Richard with 20 people and a table full of food and his daughter who just publicly humiliated his wife. I went to a hotel. Turned off my phone. Spent Thanksgiving night alone. And I started thinking. Really thinking. About 12 years of being just the second wife. Of being tolerated but never accepted. Of contributing money, time, effort and getting nothing but dismissal in return. About Richard never defending me. Never insisting Emily treat me with basic respect. Never putting our marriage first. About the fact that I'd spent 12 years trying to earn a place in a family that would never give me one. And I made a decision. The next morning, Richard called. I finally answered. Karen, please come home. We need to talk. Yes, we do. I went home. The house was clean. Someone had cleaned up from Thanksgiving. Richard was alone. I'm sorry, he said immediately. Emily was out of line. Yes, she was. I should have said something. Yes? You should have. I will. I'll talk to her. Make her apologize. Don't bother. What? Don't make her apologize. She meant what she said. A forced apology changes nothing. Then what do you want? I want you to understand something. I'm done. Done with what? Done trying to be part of a family that doesn't want me. Done accepting disrespect from Emily. Done waiting for you to defend me. Just done. You're leaving me. I don't know yet. But I'm done being just the second wife. If I stay in this marriage, things change. Fundamentally. Or I'm gone. What changes? You start putting me first. Above Emily's feelings. Above Catherine's memory. Above your guilt and discomfort. Me first. Always. That's not fair. What's not fair is 12 years of being second place in my own marriage. What's not fair is being publicly humiliated and having my husband say nothing. What's not fair is contributing thousands to Emily's wedding and not being thanked. So yes, Richard, things change. Or I'm gone. He looked stunned. I don't know if I can. Then we're done. Because I'm worth more than this. If you've ever been called just the second wife or made to feel less than in your own marriage, if you've been publicly dismissed and your partner stayed silent, you know this rage. This breaking point. Share your experience in the comments. And if these stories of finally choosing yourself resonate with you, please subscribe to Lindsay Stories. Richard and I didn't resolve anything that day. I moved into the guest room, told him I needed space to think. Over the next week, he tried talking to me, apologizing, promising to do better. But I wasn't listening to promises anymore. I was watching actions, and his actions told me everything. He called Emily, had a conversation, came back and told me, she's sorry she upset you. Did she say she was wrong? She said she didn't mean to hurt your feelings. That's not the same thing. She's trying. No, she's not. She's sorry I'm upset. Not sorry for what she said. There's a difference. A week after Thanksgiving, Emily called me directly. Karen, can we talk about Thanksgiving? Dad says you're really upset. I am. I'm sorry if what I said came across wrong. It didn't come across wrong. You said exactly what you meant. I'm just a second wife. I didn't mean it like that. How did you mean it then? Silence. She couldn't explain it away. Emily, for 12 years, I've tried to have a relationship with you. I've been patient with your grief. I've never tried to replace your mother. I've contributed to your life financially and emotionally. And you've made it clear over and over that I'm not family. Just Dad's wife. So fine. But don't pretend you didn't mean what you said at Thanksgiving. Own it. You're not my mom. You never will be. I never tried to be. I tried to be your stepmother. Someone who cares about you. But you won't even give me that. So this is what I'm telling you. I'm done trying. You can have whatever relationship you want with your father. But I won't be part of it. No more dinners. No more holidays. No more pretending we're family. We're not. You made that clear. Karen, I'm not angry. I'm just done. You want your dad? You can have him. But you don't get to have me too. Not anymore. I hung up. Richard heard the conversation. That was harsh. Was it? She spent 12 years being harsh to me. I'm just finally being honest. She's my daughter, and I'm your wife. But I've never felt like I mattered as much as she does. So I'm removing myself from the equation. You can have all the relationship you want with Emily and Catherine. I won't interfere. But I also won't participate. You're giving me an ultimatum. No. I'm setting a boundary. I won't be in situations where Emily treats me as less than. That's not an ultimatum. That's self-protection. So no more family dinners? No more holidays together. Not with Emily. You're welcome to see her whenever you want. But I won't be there. That's going to create problems. It's going to create clarity. She doesn't want me there anyway. Now she doesn't have to pretend. Over the next month, Richard struggled with this new reality. Christmas was coming. He wanted us all together. It's Catherine's first Christmas that she'll really remember. I want to be there. Then go. I'm not stopping you. But you won't come. No. Karen, this is my family, and I'm your wife. But you've made it clear that when it comes to Emily, I'm supposed to just accept whatever treatment she gives. I'm done accepting it. So you go. Be with your family. I'll be here. What are you going to do on Christmas? I don't know. Maybe go to my sister's. Maybe stay home. Maybe treat myself to a spa day. Whatever I want. Because I'm not going to spend another holiday being treated like the help who happens to live here. Richard went to Emily's for Christmas. I went to my sister's. Had a wonderful time. Didn't miss the tension and discomfort of pretending to be family with people who didn't want me there. When Richard came home, he was quiet. How was it? I asked. Fine. Catherine loved her presence. Emily asked where you were. What did you tell her? That you were with your sister. Did she seem relieved? He hesitated. Maybe a little. There you go. Everyone's happier this way. I'm not happier. I want my wife and my daughter to get along. That was never going to happen, Richard. And I'm tired of pretending it might. 2 months after Thanksgiving, I did something else Emily didn't expect. I started divorce proceedings. Not because I didn't love Richard, but because I finally understood I couldn't stay married to someone who would never put me first, who would always prioritize his daughter's comfort over my basic dignity. When I told Richard I'd filed, he was devastated. I thought we were working on this. You were working on getting me to accept being second place. I was working on finding the strength to leave. I love you. I know. But you love Emily more. You love Catherine's memory more. You love avoiding conflict more. And I can't be married to someone who loves me fourth or fifth. That's not fair, Richard. At Thanksgiving, your daughter publicly called me just the second wife. You said nothing. Not one word in my defense. That told me everything I needed to know. I've apologized. Apologies don't change the fundamental dynamic. You will always choose Emily over me. Always avoid conflict with her even if it means sacrificing me. That's who you are. And I can't live with that anymore. So you're throwing away 12 years? I'm refusing to waste any more years being someone's second choice. The divorce was filed. Richard begged me to reconsider. I wouldn't. Emily heard about it. Called me. Karen, are you really divorcing my dad? Yes. Because of what I said at Thanksgiving. Because of 12 years of what you've said and done. Thanksgiving was just the final straw. I didn't think you'd actually leave him. Why not? You made it clear I don't belong in your family. So I'm leaving. But Dad's devastated. Your dad had 12 years to make me feel valued in this marriage. He chose not to. So now I'm choosing to leave. This is my fault partially. But mostly it's your dad's fault for never setting boundaries with you. For never defending me. For always putting you first even when you were cruel to me. I wasn't cruel, Emily. You called me just the second wife in front of 20 people. That's cruel. And your father said nothing. That's unacceptable. So, I'm done. What about Catherine? She won't have a step-grandmother anymore. She never had one. You made sure of that. She'll be fine. I hung up. 3 months into the divorce proceedings, something shifted. Richard stopped begging. Stopped calling constantly. Seemed to accept it was really happening. Then one day, he showed up at my new apartment. I need to tell you something, he said, okay? You were right. About everything. I waited. I talked to a therapist. About the divorce. About Emily. About Catherine's death. About all of it and she helped me see what I've been doing. How I've been so focused on not losing Emily, on keeping her happy. On preserving Catherine's memory through her, that I lost you. Lost us, yes. I never defended you because I was afraid if I confronted Emily, she'd pull away. Like I could lose another person I love. So you sacrificed me to keep her, yes? And that was wrong. Deeply wrong. I'm glad you see that now. Is it too late? I looked at him. This man I'd loved for 12 years. Who'd failed me in the ways that mattered most? I don't know. Can I try? Can I show you I've changed? Richard, understanding the problem and fixing it are two different things. You understand now. But that doesn't mean you can actually change. Let me prove it. Give me 6 months. Let me show you I can put you first. We're getting divorced. We don't have to. We can pause the proceedings. Give it 6 months. If I can't prove I've changed, we move forward with the divorce. If I can, maybe we try again. I thought about it. What did I have to lose? Fine. 6 months. But understand something, I'm not moving back in. I'm not playing wife while you figure yourself out. You prove change through actions, not words. And at the end of 6 months, I decide, not you. Me. Double quotes fair. Over the next 6 months, Richard did something I never expected. He actually changed. He called Emily. Told her she needed to apologize to me properly. When she resisted, he said, then we won't have a relationship until you do. Emily called me 2 days later. Karen, I'm sorry. Really sorry. For Thanksgiving. For 12 years of treating you like you didn't matter. For all of it. Why now? Because Dad said if I don't fix this with you, he won't see me or Catherine, and I don't want that. So you're apologizing because he threatened you? No. I mean, that's why I called. But I mean it. I was cruel to you. You tried to be part of my life and I shut you out. That was wrong. It wasn't perfect, but it was real. An actual acknowledgement. Thank you, I said. Does this mean you and Dad will get back together? I don't know. We'll see. Richard kept proving change. He invited me to family events, but only after confirming with Emily that she be respectful. He defended me when his late wife's parents made comments. He put me first, visibly and consistently. At the 6-month mark, I had to decide. Have you proven change? I asked him. I think so. But you're the judge. You have. You've actually changed. Does that mean? It means I'm willing to try again slowly. But Richard, understand, if you ever put me second again, if you ever let Emily disrespect me without consequences, I'm gone. For good. No second chances. I understand. We reconciled. Slowly. Carefully. I moved back in after 8 months. We rebuilt our marriage on new terms. I came first. Always. Emily and I have a relationship now. Not close. Not mother-daughter. But respectful. Civil. She doesn't call me just the second wife anymore. Because her father won't allow it. That Thanksgiving dinner, that moment of public humiliation, it broke something. But what grew back was stronger. I'm not just the second wife anymore. I'm Richard's wife. Period. First and always. And Emily knows if she forgets that, she loses her father. That's what she didn't expect when she made that toast. That her dismissal of me would finally push me to demand respect. That her father would choose me. That she'd have to earn her way back into our lives. My name is Karen Sullivan. I'm 51 years old. At a family dinner, my stepdaughter called me just the second wife. So I left, filed for divorce, made my husband choose. And when he chose me, really chose me, we rebuilt everything. Not everyone gets that ending. But I fought for it. Demanded it. Refused to accept less. Share this if you've ever been made to feel like just the second wife. Comment if you've had to force someone to choose. Subscribe to Lindsay Stories for more stories of demanding respect and winning it. Just the second wife? Not anymore. I'm the only wife. The first priority. The one who matters. And that's exactly what she didn't expect. That's everything. What I haven't fully explained yet is what those 6 months of Richard proving change actually looked like. Because it wasn't just words. It wasn't just therapy sessions. It was concrete, visible action that rebuilt trust brick by brick. The first test came 2 weeks after we agreed to the 6-month trial. Emily's birthday. Traditionally, Richard would go to her house for a family dinner, take gifts, spend the evening with Emily, Jake, and Catherine. I was never explicitly uninvited, but the message was clear: this was their time. This year, Richard called Emily. "I'd like to take you to dinner for your birthday. You, Jake, Catherine, and Karen." Karen. Why? Because she's my wife, and if we're going to have family dinners, she's part of the family. But it's my birthday. Can't it just be us? No. If you want me there, Karen comes too. If that doesn't work for you, we can celebrate another way. Emily was silent. Then, fine. She can come. Not she can come. Karen is welcome. If you can't say that and mean it, let me know now. Karen is welcome. Thank you. Richard told me about the conversation. She agreed. But she's not happy about it. Are you sure you want to push this? Yes. Because you were right. I've been letting Emily dictate terms for 12 years. That ends now. The birthday dinner was tense. Emily was polite but cold. Jake tried to make conversation. Catherine was 3 and oblivious to the adult tension. At one point, Emily said, "Thanks for coming, Karen. I know this isn't really your thing." Before I could respond, Richard said, "This is absolutely Karen's thing. She's my wife. Family dinners include her dot always." Emily's eyes widened. She'd never heard her father be so direct with hers right. Of course. The dinner ended awkwardly. But Richard had done it. He'd insisted on my inclusion and defended it when challenged. The second test came a month later. Catherine's parents, Richard's late wife's parents, were having a holiday party. They'd invited Richard. The invitation said Richard Sullivan and guest. Guest, Richard said, showing me the invitation. Like you're some random +1. That's how they've always seen me. Well, I'm addressing it. He called Catherine's mother Joan. "Hi Joan. Thanks for the invitation to your holiday party. We're so glad you can come. I'll be bringing Karen." Of course. The invitation said you could bring a guest. Karen's not a guest. She's my wife, and I need you to understand that moving forward, invitations should be addressed to both of us. Not me and guest. Richard and Karen Sullivan. Silence on the other end. Then, we didn't mean any disrespect, I know. But for 12 years, you've treated Karen like she's temporary. Like Catherine is still somehow part of this family. She's not. She died 16 years ago. Joan, I loved her. I'll always love her memory. But I'm married to Karen now, and she deserves to be treated as my wife, not as some interloper. I understand. Do you? Because I need to know that if we come to this party, Karen will be welcomed as family, not tolerated as my +1. If you can't do that, we won't come. We can do that. Thank you. When Richard told me about the call, I was shocked. You confronted Catherine's mother about how she treats me. Yes. Because she needed to hear it. They all needed to hear it. That must have been hard for you. It was. Joan was Catherine's mother. She loved Catherine. But she's used that loss to justify treating you poorly. And I've allowed it. That stops now. At the holiday party, Joan greeted us at the door. Richard. Karen. Welcome. Not just Richard. Both of us by name. It was a small thing. But it mattered. Throughout the evening, I noticed the shift. Joan introduced me to people as Richard's wife Karen. Not Richard and his. Karen, his wife. Full status. When we left, Richard said, "How did that feel?" Different, better. Like maybe I'm not invisible anymore. You're not. I'm making sure of that. The third test came at Easter. Emily wanted to host. Just family, she said to Richard. Great. Karen and I will be there. Actually, I was thinking just you, me, Jake, and Catherine. Keep it small. Karen is family. If she's not invited, I'm not coming. Dad, it's Easter. Catherine's first real Easter egg hunt. Don't you want to be there? I want to be there with my wife. If that's not possible, I'll celebrate Easter with Karen elsewhere. Emily must have talked to Jake, or her therapist, or someone, because she called back the next day. Karen, would you like to come to Easter at our house? Are you asking because you want me there or because Richard won't come without me? Silence. Then, honestly, the second one. But I'm trying. I'm really trying to see you differently. I appreciate that. Will you come? Yes? Easter was still awkward. But Emily made efforts, asked about my work, included me in conversations, even thanked me for the dessert I brought. At one point, Richard and Jake were outside with Catherine. Emily and I were alone in the kitchen. I didn't think Dad would actually choose you over me, she said quietly. He didn't choose me over you. He chose to stop letting you treat me poorly. That's different. It doesn't feel different. I'm sure it doesn't. You've had unlimited access to your father for 16 years. Now there are conditions. That's uncomfortable. Why couldn't you just let things be the way they were? Because the way they were, I was invisible. I was just a second wife. I was funding your wedding but not being thanked. I was cooking Thanksgiving dinner and being dismissed in front of everyone. That's not sustainable, Emily. I didn't realize how much it bothered you. Really? You didn't realize that being publicly humiliated would bother me? She looked ashamed. I was making a point. What point? That mom was first. That she'll always be first. That you can't replace her. I never tried to replace her. But I'm not going to be second forever either. I'm Richard's wife now. Catherine's gone. If you can't accept that, you lose your father. Simple as that. That's not fair. Life isn't fair, Emily. Your mom died. That's profoundly unfair. But it doesn't give you the right to punish me forever for existing. She couldn't argue with that. Over the next few months, the changes became more obvious. Richard started referring to me as his wife in every context. Not my wife Karen as an afterthought, but leading with it. My wife and I are planning a trip. I need to check with my wife. My wife prefers this. He declined invitations that didn't explicitly include me. Corrected people who treated me as less than. Defended me in every situation, where before he would have stayed silent. At month 5 we had a major test. Catherine's parents wanted to have a memorial service for their daughter. It would have been her 55th birthday. They want me to speak, Richard told me. About Catherine. Our life together, daughter love? That's appropriate. They didn't invite you. Also appropriate. It's a memorial for Catherine. I'm not part of that history. But you're my wife. If I'm there, you should be too. Richard, this is different. This is about honoring Catherine's memory. I'm okay not being there. I'm not. Because here's what will happen. I'll speak about Catherine. Everyone will cry. And then afterward, people will act like you don't exist. Like I'm still somehow married to a ghost. And I'm done with that narrative. What are you going to do? I'm going to tell them I'll speak. But only if you're invited. As my wife, with full acknowledgement of who you are in my life. They'll be hurt, maybe. But I'm done hurting you to protect everyone else's feelings. He called Joan. I'd be honored to speak at Catherine's memorial. But I need Karen to be invited. Richard, this is about Catherine, I understand. And I loved Catherine. I'll always love her memory. But I'm married to Karen now. She's my partner. And if I'm representing my life past and present, she needs to be there. People will think it's inappropriate. People have thought a lot of things for 12 years. I don't care anymore. This is about respect for my current wife. If you can't extend that respect, I won't speak. Joan was quiet for a long time. Then, you've changed. Yes, I have. Because of Karen. Because I almost lost her. Because I realized I was living in the past at the expense of my present. Because I finally understood that loving Catherine's memory doesn't mean disrespecting the woman I'm with now. I'll talk to the family. Karen can come. Thank you. At the memorial, I sat next to Richard. He spoke beautifully about Catherine. Their love. Their life. Their daughter. And then he said something unexpected. Catherine was the love of my life for 20 years. She gave me Emily. She gave me memories I'll cherish forever. And I know she'd want me to be happy. To move forward. To love again. I've been blessed to find that with Karen, my wife. She's given me a second chance at happiness. At partnership. At love. I'm grateful for both women. For what they've each brought to my life. He acknowledged me. At Catherine's memorial. In front of everyone. Joan cried. But later, she came to me. Thank you for being here. And for being patient with us. We've held onto Catherine so tightly that we couldn't see Richard needed to move forward. I understand. She was your daughter. She was. But you're Richard's wife. And we need to honor that. It was a breakthrough. 16 years of being the outsider. And finally, at a memorial for the first wife, I was acknowledged as a second. Not just the second wife. The second. With full status and recognition. At the 6-month mark, Richard and I sat down to evaluate. Have I proven change? He asked. You have. You've done everything you promised and more. So what now? Now we decide if we want to rebuild this marriage. I want to. Do you? I thought about it. 6 months ago. I was ready to walk away. Ready to be done with being second place. But Richard had actually changed visibly. Consistently. Painfully, yes. I want to try. What does that look like? We start slow. Dating again. Rebuilding trust. And if Emily backslides, if she goes back to treating me as less than, you shut it down immediately. No warnings. No patience. Immediate consequences. Agreed. And Richard? I need to know this change is permanent. Not just because you're afraid of losing me, but because you actually believe I deserve to be first. I do believe it. I've learned it the hard way. But I believe it now. We started dating again, slowly, carefully, like new people learning each other. I moved back in after 8 months. We renewed our vows after a year. Small ceremony. Just us. Emily was invited, but we made it clear this was about us. She could attend and be supportive or stay home. Her choice. She came, stood next to her father, even smiled during the ceremony. Afterward, she hugged me. First time in 12 years. I'm glad you came back, she said. I'm glad your father gave me a reason to. He's different now. So are you? I'm trying. I don't know if we'll ever be close, but I want to at least be respectful. Kind. That's enough. 2 years after that Thanksgiving dinner, 2 years after being called just a second wife, our family looks completely different. Richard and I have a strong marriage, built on mutual respect, on me being first, on him defending that priority fiercely. Emily and I have a civil relationship. We're not close, but we're not enemies either. She includes me in family events, thanks me for contributions, acknowledges my place in her father's life. Catherine, now 5, calls me Grandma Karen. Not just Karen. Grandma. Like I'm actually part of the family. Catherine's parents invite me to events, include me in family photos, acknowledge me as Richard's wife. All of this because I finally demanded respect. Because I walked out. Because I filed for divorce. Because I forced Richard to choose. And he chose me. That's what Emily didn't expect. She thought her father would always prioritize her, always sacrifice me to keep her happy, always let her disrespect go unchallenged. She was wrong. And the moment she realized she was wrong, the moment Richard chose me over avoiding conflict with her, everything changed. Not immediately. Not perfectly. But fundamentally. My name is Karen Sullivan. I'm 53 now. 3 years ago, my stepdaughter called me just a second wife at a family dinner. I walked out, filed for divorce, made my husband choose. He chose me. Actually chose me. Through therapy and hard conversations and painful changes. And now I'm not just the second wife. I'm the wife, the priority, the first choice. And that's exactly what she didn't expect. Share this if you've ever been made to feel like second place. Comment if you've had to demand respect from family. Subscribe to Lindsay Stories for more stories of claiming your worth. Just a second wife? Not anymore. I'm the only wife that matters. And everyone knows it. That's everything. Before I close the story, there are critical truths about being a second wife that need to be said. Truths I learned through pain. Truths that might help someone else who's struggling in the shadow of a first marriage. The first truth: being a second wife doesn't mean being second place. Society has this narrative that second wives are replacements, lesser versions, stand-ins for the real thing. Especially when the first wife died instead of divorced. People romanticize the dead, turn them into saints, perfect mothers, perfect wives, perfect humans who can never be matched. And second wives are expected to live in that shadow forever. To accept being compared. To understand that we'll never measure up to a ghost. That's bullshit. I'm not a replacement. I'm not a lesser version. I'm a different person in a different phase of Richard's life. Catherine was his love at 30. I'm his love at 50. Both can be real. Both can be meaningful. Without one diminishing the other. But for that to work, the living wife has to be prioritized. Has to come first in the present, even if the dead wife occupies the past. For 12 years, I accepted second place. Accepted being compared. Accepted being dismissed because I wasn't Catherine. And it nearly destroyed me. The Thanksgiving moment being called just a second wife, it wasn't new information. It was Emily saying out loud what had been true for 12 years. What I'd been feeling but denying. Walking out wasn't about Emily's words. It was about finally admitting to myself, I deserve better than this. The second truth: your spouse must defend you. Always. No exceptions. Richard's silence at that Thanksgiving table, that was the betrayal. Not Emily's words. His silence. Because silence is agreement. Silence is permission. Silence tells the person attacking you this is acceptable. For 12 years, Richard's silence told Emily, you can treat Karen however you want. I won't stop you. I won't defend her. I won't prioritize her feelings. And Emily took that permission and ran with it. The turning point wasn't her apology. It was Richard finally finding his voice. Finally saying no more. Finally defending me even when it cost him comfort with Emily. Every spouse in a blended family faces this choice: defend your current partner or keep peace with your kids. You can't do both when the kids are disrespectful. Richard chose peace for 12 years. It nearly cost him his marriage. Now he chooses me. Every single time. And our marriage is stronger for it. The third truth: you cannot earn respect from people who are determined not to give it. I spent 12 years trying to earn Emily's respect. Being patient. Being kind. Being generous. Being present but not pushy. None of it worked. Because Emily didn't want to respect me. She wanted to punish me for existing. For being alive when her mother wasn't. For having a place in her father's life that she wished Catherine still occupied. I couldn't earn something she refused to give. The only thing that changed Emily's behavior was consequences. Real, painful consequences. Her father choosing me over her comfort. Her risking losing him entirely. That's what created respect. Not my kindness. Not my patience. Fear of loss. It's not pretty. It's not the heartwarming step-family story people want to hear. But it's the truth. Some people will only respect you when the cost of disrespecting you becomes too high. The fourth truth. Walking away is sometimes the only way forward. When I filed for divorce, people thought I was overreacting. It's just one comment. Emily was drunk. You're throwing away 12 years over Thanksgiving dinner. But it wasn't one comment. It was 12 years of comments. Of dismissals. Of being made invisible. Thanksgiving was just the moment I stopped accepting it. Walking away, actually filing for divorce, moving out. Making it real, that's what forced change. If I'd just complained without action, nothing would have changed. Richard would have apologized and gone back to the same patterns. Emily would have given a fake apology and continued her behavior. But walking away made it real. Made Richard face losing me. Made Emily face losing her father's unconditional acceptance. And that fear created the possibility of real change. Sometimes the only way to save something is to be willing to lose it. The fifth truth. Not all second wife stories have happy endings. I got lucky. Richard actually changed. He did the therapy. Made the hard choices. Defended me consistently. Many second wives don't get that. They stay in marriages where they're forever a second place. Forever in the shadow. Forever undefended. If you're reading this and seeing yourself, if you're the second wife being treated as less than, understand this. You don't have to stay. You don't have to keep trying. You don't have to earn respect that should be freely given. You can walk away. And sometimes, walking away is the only self-respecting choice. A year after we renewed our vows, Richard and I were having dinner when he said something that surprised me. I need to tell you something I've never said before, okay? I love you more than I loved Catherine. I stopped eating. Richard, let me finish. I loved Catherine. She was my wife for 20 years. She gave me Emily. We had a good life, but we married young. We grew up together. It was comfortable. Safe. And us is different, harder, more complex, but also deeper, more intentional. I chose you as a fully formed adult who knew what he wanted. Catherine and I chose each other as kids figuring things out. You don't have to compare. I'm not comparing to diminish Catherine. I'm just being honest. What we have, what we've built through all the struggle, it's stronger than what Catherine and I had. Because we fought for it. Because we almost lost it. Because we chose it deliberately. Does Emily know you feel this way? No. And I won't tell her. She doesn't need to hear that. But you do. You need to know that you're not second. You're not a replacement. You're my choice. My love. My priority. I cried. Because I'd waited 12 years to hear something like that. To know I wasn't just filling a vacant spot. That I mattered on my own terms. Thank you for saying that. Thank you for making me fight for you. For walking out. For forcing me to change. I'm a better man because you demanded better. 3 months after that conversation, Emily came to me alone. Can we talk? She asked. Of course. We went to a cafe. Just the two of us. First time we'd ever done that without Richard present. I need to say something, Emily started. I've been in therapy. Working through stuff about Mom's death. About you and Dad, okay? My therapist helped me see something. I've been using you as a target for my grief. For my anger about Mom dying. For my fear of losing Dad too. I understand that. But it wasn't fair to you. You didn't kill Mom. You didn't steal Dad. You were just there, and I punished you for that, yes? I'm sorry. Really? Genuinely sorry. Not because Dad made me. Not because I'm scared of losing him. But because I see now how cruel I was. How much I hurt you. And you didn't deserve that. This was different from her previous apology. This felt real. Coming from her, not from fear of consequences. Thank you, Emily. That means a lot. I don't know if we can ever have a real relationship, but I want to try. If you're willing. What does that look like? I don't know. Coffee sometimes. Texts that aren't just about Dad. Actually getting to know you as a person instead of just Dad's wife? I like that. Really. Really. I never wanted to be your enemy, Emily. I just wanted basic respect. You have it now, and I want to give you more than that. I want to give you friendship, maybe. If that's possible after everything. Maybe it is. Maybe we can build something new. Different from what you had with Catherine. But real. We started slowly. Coffee once a month. Texts about random things. Emily asking my advice on work stuff. Me sharing recipes. Small, normal interactions that felt revolutionary after 12 years of hostility. 6 months into this new dynamic, Emily invited me to lunch, just us. No dad. No Jake. Just you and me. We met at a nice restaurant. Talked for 2 hours. About her job. My business. Books we'd read. Catherine, her daughter. Not her mother, and her personality. At the end of lunch, Emily said this was nice. It was. I wish we'd done this years ago. We couldn't have. We weren't ready, no. I wasn't ready. You were always ready. I was the one who refused. We're doing it now. That's what matters, yeah. She hesitated. Can I ask you something? Sure. Do you resent me? For all those years? For how I treated you? I thought about it. Did I resent her? Sometimes. When I remember specific moments. But mostly no. Because holding on to resentment would poison what we're building now. How do you let go of that? I remember that you were grieving. That you were protecting your mother's memory the only way you knew how. That you were scared of loving me because it felt like betraying her. I don't excuse the behavior. But I understand it. That's very generous. It's survival. I can't move forward if I'm stuck in anger about the past. Emily nodded. I want you to know something. Little Catherine, my daughter, she talks about you all the time. About Grandma Karen. About how you read to her and bake with her. She loves you. I love her too. I know. And I'm grateful she has you. That she has a grandmother who's alive and present. Not just a ghost like I had with Mom. That moment, Emily acknowledging that her daughter benefited from having me as a grandmother, that was huge. That was her fully accepting me as family. 2 years into our new relationship, 4 years after the Thanksgiving incident, Emily asked me to help plan Catherine's 6th birthday party. I know you're good at this stuff, and I want the party to be special. Will you help? We planned it together. Chose themes. Picked decorations. Coordinated food. Like actual family members working toward a common goal. At the party, when it was time to cut the cake, Catherine insisted I stand next to her. Grandma Karen, you stand here. Emily smiled. Didn't object. Didn't look pained. Just smiled. Later, Emily posted photos on social media. One of them was me and Catherine cutting the cake together. Her caption, Catherine's birthday with her favorite people. So grateful for all the grandparents in her life. All the grandparents, including me. With no qualifiers. No step. Just grandparent. I showed Richard the post. Look at this. He looked, smiled. That's progress. That's more than progress. That's acceptance. Yes. It is. Was it worth it? All the pain and fighting and nearly divorcing? Was it worth it to get here? Absolutely. Because now we have something real. Not politeness built on my silence and your patience, but genuine respect and relationship. That's worth everything we went through. Last month, Emily and I had lunch. Just our regular monthly coffee date that had evolved into lunch dates. I want to tell you something, she said. I'm pregnant. With number 2. Emily, that's wonderful. Congratulations. Thanks. And I want to ask you something. What's that? If it's a girl, I want to name her Karen. After you? I stared at her. What? I want to name her Karen. If that's okay with you. But Catherine is named after your mom. This baby can be named after someone I actually know. Someone who's in my life. Someone who showed me what it means to demand respect and get it. Emily, I'm honored. But are you sure? Your mom, my mom is gone. And I love her memory. But you're here. You're alive. You're part of my life and my daughter's life. And I want to honor that. I cried. Right there in the restaurant. Ugly, messy tears. Because 4 years ago, I was just the second wife. And now I was important enough to have a baby named after me. I'd be honored. I managed. Good. Karen Catherine, I think. Karen for you. Catherine for Mom. Both grandmothers. Both grandmothers. Not just the ghost of one. Exactly. That baby was born 3 months ago. Little Karen. My namesake. And when I hold her, I think about that Thanksgiving dinner. About the moment Emily called me just the second wife. And I think about everything that moment set in motion. The pain. The divorce filing. The 6 months of Richard proving change. The years of rebuilding. The slow transformation of my relationship with Emily. All because I finally said no. I'm worth more than this. If I'd accepted Emily's toast with grace. If I'd swallowed my hurt and pretended it didn't matter. If I'd stayed quiet like Richard did. None of this would exist. The respectful relationship with Emily. The strong marriage with Richard. The grandmother role with Catherine. The baby named after me. All of it came from one moment of refusing to accept being treated as less than. My name is Karen Sullivan. I'm 53 years old. 4 years ago, my stepdaughter called me just the second wife at a family dinner. I walked out, filed for divorce, made everyone choose respect me or lose me. They chose to respect me, and everything changed. Emily and I have a genuine relationship now. Richard defends me fiercely. Catherine's parents include me fully. Little Catherine calls me grandma, and there's a baby girl named Karen. That's what Emily didn't expect when she made that toast. That I refused to accept it. That I'd demand respect or walk away. That her father would actually choose me. And that in doing so, we build something better than what we had before. Share this if you've ever been called just the second wife. Comment if you've had to demand respect to get it. Subscribe to Lindsay Stories for more stories of refusing to settle. Just the second wife? Not anymore. I'm the wife, the grandmother, the friend, the person babies are named after. And it all started with refusing to accept less. That's everything. What I want to talk about now, what needs to be said for every second wife reading this, is a specific toll that living in a dead first wife's shadow takes on you. The erosion that happens so slowly you don't notice until you're hollowed out. When Richard's first wife died, instead of divorcing him, she became perfect, frozen in time at her best. No flaws, no bad days, no ordinary human failures. Catherine became Saint Catherine, the perfect mother, the perfect wife, the perfect woman whose only mistake was dying. And I was compared to that impossible standard. Every day. For 12 years. Emily would say things like, "Mom always made homemade bread," implying my store-bought bread was inferior. Or Mom would have known what to do about this, implying I was incompetent. Or Dad and Mom never fought about money, implying our budget discussions meant we had a worse marriage. Death had sanitized Catherine, made her flawless, removed all her humanity and left only perfection. How do you compete with a ghost? You can't. The dead can't disappoint, can't have off days, can't be human. They're preserved in amber at their best moment. I spent years trying anyway, trying to be good enough, smart enough, kind enough, worthy enough, and failing. Always failing. Because you can't be perfection, especially perfection that only exists in memory. The toll it took, I started doubting myself constantly. Was I good enough? Was my cooking okay? Was I boring? Was I failing Richard somehow? I lost pieces of myself trying to measure up to a dead woman, trying to earn a place I'd already been given when Richard married me. That's the insidious thing about being compared to the dead. You can't defend yourself. You can't point out that Catherine wasn't actually perfect, that all marriages have conflicts, that everyone has flaws, because that would be speaking ill of the dead. That would be cruel, disrespectful. So you absorb the comparison silently, and slowly it eats away at you. The Thanksgiving moment, just a second wife. That was Emily saying what she'd been thinking for years, what I'd been feeling for years. That I was a placeholder, a substitute, good enough for now but never quite right. Walking out wasn't just about that moment. It was about refusing to spend another day letting that comparison hollow me out. 3 years ago, I ran into someone who knew Catherine, a woman named Patricia who'd been Catherine's friend before she died. "You're Richard's wife," Patricia said at a charity event. Yes. How is that? Living in Catherine's shadow? It was the first time anyone had acknowledged it directly. The shadow. The comparison. The impossibility of the situation. Hard, I admitted. Really hard, I bet. Everyone remembers Catherine as perfect. But she wasn't, no. She was wonderful. But human. She and Richard fought about money constantly. She was terrible at managing the house, always disorganized. And she could be really judgmental about other people. Emily never mentions any of that. Of course not. Emily was 14 when Catherine died. She remembers her mother through a child's eyes, filtered through grief. She doesn't remember the real Catherine, just the idealized version. So I'm competing with someone who doesn't exist. Exactly. The Catherine that Emily remembers never existed. It's a myth. A beautiful myth, but still a myth. That conversation stayed with me, because it confirmed what I'd always suspected. I wasn't failing to measure up to Catherine. I was failing to measure up to a fantasy. An impossible standard that no human could meet. And that wasn't my failure. That was Emily's inability to see reality. Richard's inability to correct that perception. Catherine's parents need to preserve their daughter as perfect. But none of that was actually about me, or my worth, or my adequacy as a wife. That realization freed something in me. I stopped trying to compete with ghost Catherine. Stopped trying to be good enough by her impossible standard. Started being just me. Flawed, real, human me. And ironically, that's when things started changing. When I stopped trying to prove I was worthy, I started actually living as though I was worthy. And that shift, that confidence, that's what eventually forced Richard to see what he'd been doing. 2 years ago, Richard and I were driving home from dinner when he said, "I need to apologize for something I've never apologized for." What's that? For letting everyone turn Catherine into a saint. For participating in that mythology. For letting you be compared to an impossible standard. Why did you do it? Guilt. I felt guilty that she died. That I got to move on and she didn't. That I got to be happy again and she was just gone. So I let Emily and her parents idealize Catherine. It felt like the least I could do for her memory. At my expense. At your expense. Which was wrong. Because Catherine wasn't perfect. She was human, flawed. Sometimes difficult. And our marriage, while good, wasn't perfect either. Did Emily know that? No. I let her believe Mom and Dad had the perfect marriage. Perfect life. Perfect everything. I thought it would help her cope with the loss. But it made it impossible for her to accept me, yes. Because how could you compete with perfection? How could any real human compete with a myth? You have to tell Emily the truth. What truth? That Catherine was human. That your marriage had struggles. That she wasn't perfect. Emily needs to know that to move forward. That feels disrespectful. It's not. It's honest. And Emily deserves honesty. She's 30 years old. She can handle knowing her mother was real, not perfect. Richard struggled with that. But eventually, he had the conversation. Told Emily that Catherine had been wonderful but also human. That their marriage had been strong but not flawless. That memory had enhanced Catherine's best qualities and erased her struggles. Emily was upset at first. You're trying to make Mom seem bad to make Karen look better. No. I'm trying to help you see that comparing Karen to an idealized version of Mom isn't fair. Karen is real. Human. Here. And she deserves to be valued for who she actually is, not judged against a fantasy. It took Emily months to process that. But eventually, she came to me. Dad told me that Mom wasn't perfect. That she had flaws. Everyone has flaws. I know. But I built her up so much in my mind. Made her this impossible standard. And then I used that standard to judge you. That wasn't fair, no. It wasn't. I'm sorry. For all the years of comparison. For treating you like you could never measure up. You were never the problem. My impossible expectations were. That conversation shifted our relationship dramatically. Because once Emily stopped comparing me to St. Catherine, she could finally see me as just Karen. Real, flawed, but genuinely trying. Last year at Catherine's 7th birthday party, Emily made a speech. I'm so grateful for all the grandparents in Catherine's life. Grandma Joan and Grandpa Frank, who loved my mom and who love Catherine. And Grandma Karen, who's here every day. Who reads to Catherine and teaches her to bake and shows up for every little thing. I'm so lucky that my daughter has both the memory of one grandmother and the presence of another. The memory of one. The presence of another. Not better or worse. Just different. Both valuable. That's what I've been trying to tell them for 12 years. But they could only hear it when Emily was ready. When Richard finally told the truth. When I stopped trying to earn it and started demanding it. 6 months ago, Joan Catherine's mother asked me to lunch. Just the two of us. I need to apologize, she said. For what? For holding Catherine up as perfect. For letting Emily do the same. For making you feel like you had to compete with my dead daughter. Why did you do it? Because she was my daughter. And she died. And making her perfect in memory felt like honoring her. But it wasn't fair to you. Or honest about who Catherine really was. Tell me about the real Catherine. And she did. For 2 hours, Joan told me about Catherine. The real Catherine. Who was impatient sometimes. Who struggled with depression. Who fought with Richard about money. Who was a wonderful mother but also a stressed, overwhelmed human. She would have liked you, Joan said finally. The real Catherine. Not the saint we made her into. The real woman. She would have respected what you did. How you stood up for yourself. How you demanded respect. Thank you for telling me that. Thank you for being patient with us. For giving us time to see what we were doing to you. I almost didn't. I almost left for good. I'm glad you didn't. Catherine would be glad to. She'd want Richard to be happy. And you make him happy. Coming from Joan, from Catherine's mother, that meant everything. It was full circle. Final acceptance. Not just from Emily. From everyone. 3 months ago, Richard and I were invited to speak at a blended family support group. To share our story. I was nervous. What if people judge us? What if they think I was petty for walking out over one comment? Then they don't understand. But I think most people there will understand completely. We told our story. The 12 years of being second. The Thanksgiving moment. The walkout. The divorce filing. The 6 months of change. The reconciliation. The transformation. When we finished, a woman in the back raised her hand. How do you stop comparing yourself to the first wife? I looked at Richard. Let him answer. You tell the truth about the first wife, he said. You stop letting her be perfect in memory. You acknowledge that she was human. Flawed. Real. And you make it clear that comparing your current wife to an idealized ghost is unfair to everyone. Another woman asked, how did you find the strength to walk out? That was mine to answer. I realized I was dying. Not literally, but slowly. Being eroded by constant comparison and dismissal. And I decided I'd rather be alone than disappear. So I walked out. Not because I didn't love Richard, but because I loved myself enough not to stay where I was being diminished. A man asked Richard, what made you change, really? Fear of losing her. But also, therapy helped me see what I was doing. How I was sacrificing my present for my past. How I was hurting the woman I loved to preserve the memory of the woman I lost. Once I saw that clearly, I couldn't unsee it. I had to change or lose everything that mattered. After the meeting, multiple people came up to us, thanked us, said our story gave them hope, or permission to demand better, or the courage to walk away. One woman said, I've been the second wife for 15 years, living in the shadow, being compared, being dismissed, and I thought I just had to accept it, that this was the price of loving a widower. It's not, I told her. You deserve to be first, to be valued for who you are, not judged against who she was. What if my husband won't change? Then you have a choice, stay and keep being second, or walk away and demand better. Only you can decide which you can live with. She nodded, thoughtful. I don't know what she decided, but I hope she chose herself. That's what I want every second wife to know. You're not being unreasonable when you demand to be first. You're not being disrespectful to the dead when you refuse to be compared to them. You're not being selfish when you walk away from situations that diminish you. You're being human, with needs, with worth, with dignity that deserves protection. And if your spouse can't prioritize you over a ghost, over their guilt, over their child's impossible expectations, then you deserve better. You deserve someone who chooses you, every day, without hesitation. I got lucky. Richard chose me, proved it, changed, and now we have something beautiful. But if he'd refused to change, refused to defend me, refused to put me first, I would have walked away. For good, because I'm worth more than being just the second wife. And so are you. My name is Karen Sullivan. I'm 53 years old. 4 years ago, I was called just the second wife at a family dinner. Today, I'm the wife, the first priority, the grandmother babies are named after, the respected, valued, loved partner in my marriage. Not because I earned it by being perfect, but because I demanded it by refusing to accept less. That's what Emily didn't expect. That her public dismissal would be the catalyst for me finally claiming my worth. That her father would choose me over her comfort. That the family dynamics would completely transform. But they did. Because I was willing to walk away. To risk everything. To say I deserve better and mean it. Share this if you've ever been compared to someone who came before you. Comment if you've had to demand your worth. Subscribe to Lindsay Stories for more stories of second wives claiming first place. Just a second wife? Never again. I'm the only wife that matters. And I'll never forget what it took to get here. That's everything. One final reflection on what that Thanksgiving moment taught me. Not just about being a second wife, but about self-worth, about boundaries, about what it means to truly choose yourself. When Emily made that toast, when she reduced me to just a second wife in front of 20 people, the room went silent. Everyone staring. Everyone uncomfortable. But nobody defended me. Not one person spoke up. Not Richard's siblings. Not friends. Not even people who knew me well and presumably liked me. They all sat there silent, letting it happen. And that silence taught me something crucial. People will let you be disrespected if you don't demand otherwise. Even people who care about you. Even people who know it's wrong. Because defending you creates conflict, makes them uncomfortable, forces them to choose sides. It's easier to stay silent, to pretend they didn't hear, to let the moment pass. So if you're waiting for other people to defend your worth, stop. They won't. Not until you demonstrate that your worth is non-negotiable. That disrespecting you comes with consequences. That's what walking out did. It made my worth non-negotiable. It showed Richard, Emily, and everyone at that table this is not acceptable. I will not sit here and absorb this. I have too much self-respect to pretend this is okay. And that action, that refusal to accept disrespect, had changed everything. Because suddenly I wasn't hoping people would respect me. I was demanding it. And leaving if they wouldn't. That's power. Real power. Not hoping or wishing or earning. Just demanding and enforcing. Last month, I was having coffee with my friend Jessica. She's been a second wife for 7 years. Struggling with similar dynamics. How did you do it? She asked. How did you go from being walked over to being respected? I stopped trying to earn respect and started demanding it. And I proved I'd leave if I didn't get it. But what if Richard hadn't changed? What if you lost your marriage? Then I'd have lost a marriage where I was second place and gained my self-respect. That's not a bad trade. But you love him. I do. But I love myself more. And that's not selfish. That's necessary. Because if I don't love myself enough to demand respect, I can't have healthy relationships with anyone. I'm scared to push that hard. What if my husband chooses his kids over me? Then you know. You know where you stand. You know you're not actually first. And you can decide what to do with that information. That's terrifying. Living in uncertainty is also terrifying. Being disrespected daily is terrifying. Being compared to a ghost forever is terrifying. At least if you push and he chooses poorly, you know. You can stop hoping and start planning. She nodded slowly. I need to think about this. Think about it. But while you're thinking, ask yourself, how many more years are you willing to be second? How many more family dinners where you're dismissed? How many more times being compared to someone who's been dead for years? Because that's your alternative to pushing for change. I don't know if Jessica will demand better from her husband. I hope she does. But I know from experience you can't save someone who won't save themselves. You can only tell them it's possible. That you did it. That it's worth it. The rest is up to them. 2 weeks ago, little Karen Catherine Emily's baby named after me turned 3 months old. Emily invited me to a small gathering. Just family. Nothing big. I went. Held baby Karen. Watched Catherine play with her little sister. Sat next to Emily and Jake and Richard like actual family. At one point, Emily said, Karen, can I ask you something? Sure. Do you ever think about that Thanksgiving? When I called you just the second wife? Sometimes. Do you regret how you handled it? Walking out? Not for a second. Why? Because you could have just let it go. Accepted my apology the next day. Moved on. Instead you blew up your whole marriage. Filed for divorce. Made everyone choose. It was so extreme. It felt proportional to me. You dismissed me publicly after 12 years of private dismissals. I was done. So I left. But you almost lost Dad. I was willing to lose him. That's what made the difference. I wasn't bluffing. I was actually prepared to walk away if he didn't change. And that scared him into changing. It forced him to decide. Keep the old patterns or keep me. He chose me. But if he hadn't, I'd have been okay. Not happy, but okay. I don't think I could do that. Risk everything like that. You don't have to. You're not in my situation. But if you were, if Jake was putting someone else first constantly, dismissing you, letting people disrespect you, I hope you find the strength to demand better. I hope so too. Later, Richard and I were driving home. Emily asked if I regretted walking out. I told him. What did you say? That I didn't. Not for a second. Good. Because that moment you leaving it saved us. If you'd stayed, if you'd swallowed it like you swallowed 12 years of other things we have kept deteriorating, you'd have grown more resentful. I'd have stayed oblivious. Eventually we'd have divorced anyway. But it would have been messier, uglier. Without possibility of recovery. So my walking out was a gift. Your walking out was the truth. You showed me what I was risking. What I was losing. What I'd already lost by not defending you. It was the wake-up call I needed but didn't deserve. You deserved it once you actually changed. Thank you for giving me that chance. For coming back. For letting me prove I could be better. Thank you for actually being better. A lot of men wouldn't have done the work. A lot of men don't have women worth doing the work for. We drove in silence for a moment. Then Richard said, I tell people now, when they ask about our marriage, I tell them you almost left me. That I nearly lost you because I didn't defend you. That I had to choose you over my comfort. And that choosing you was the best decision I ever made. People must think that's strange. Some do. But most get it. Most understand that marriage requires choosing. Especially second marriages with complicated families. You can't have everyone. Sometimes you have to choose your spouse over keeping peace. I chose wrong for 12 years. Now I choose right. Every day. I'm glad. Me too. This morning, I woke up in my house. My marriage stopped my life. Not perfect, but mine. Built on respect and boundaries and mutual choice. Not built on me accepting crumbs. Not built on me being grateful for basic consideration. Not built on me competing with a ghost. Built on me demanding worth. Richard proving worth. And both of us choosing this daily. Deliberately. That's what came from one Thanksgiving dinner. From one public humiliation. From one moment of being called just the second wife. Not immediate redemption. Not a Hollywood ending. But a long, hard journey toward actual respect. Actual partnership. Actual love that doesn't require one person to disappear. And every day, I'm grateful. Not for the humiliation. But for finally having the strength to say enough. To walk out. To demand better. To refuse to accept being second ever again. That's my gift to myself. And hopefully, through sharing this story, my gift to other second wives, you don't have to accept it. You can demand first place. You can walk out. You can require change or leave. And if you find that strength, your life will transform. Maybe your marriage will too. Maybe it won't. But you'll have something more important, your self-respect. My name is Karen Sullivan. I'm 53 years old. 4 years ago, I was just a second wife. Today, I'm the wife, the first choice, the priority, the grandmother, the woman babies are named after, the partner in a marriage built on respect. Because I refused to accept less. Because I walked out. Because I made everyone choose. Because I demanded worth and wouldn't settle for anything less. That's what Emily didn't expect when she made that toast. That I'd finally claim my value. That her father would choose me. That everything would change. But it did. All of it. Because I chose myself first. Share this if you've ever been second. Comment if you've had to demand first. Subscribe to Lindsay Stories for more stories of second wives claiming their worth. Just a second wife, never again. I'm the only wife that matters. And I earned that place by refusing to accept anything less. That's everything.